Yes, welcome to poultry production, lecture 1. Poultry production, we shall talk about various poultry species, poultry birds, for example, turkey. We have chicken, and in chicken, we shall talk about various breeds like breeders, layers, the indigenous chicken. We shall talk about guinea fowl, quail, ducks, pigeons, and all this will make our introductory part. This is lecture 1, introduction to poultry production. This is particularly poultry production, and the purpose of this course is to equip students and other people skills in commercial poultry production. The major emphasis is on duck production, broiler production, and layer production. And how do we improve the indigenous chicken production? For example, we see that our indigenous chicken, they are resistant to most of the diseases, they are tolerant to the environment, but we have not really done some improvement like on their genetics so that we can conserve them for the future or improve on their performance. We haven't. So how would we do? How would we improve indigenous chicken production within our regions, our areas? We refer poultry as a group of domestic birds that are reared specifically for two purposes: meat and egg production. Meaning, these domesticated birds that are reared for meat and egg, refer them to as poultry. For example, we see chicken. We rear chicken with the purpose of egg or meat. We can look at ostriches. We rear ostriches for the purpose of meat. We look at pigeons, it's the same, it's meat. We look at goose, they rear them for meat or egg. We look at the quail, they are reared for meat or egg. So any bird that is reared for the purpose of meat and egg production is referred to as poultry. These poultry birds include turkeys, we have ducks, we have chicken, we have quail, pigeons, guinea, and ostriches. These poultry birds have various breeds or varieties. For example, if you look at turkeys, we have what we call the broad-breasted bronze, we have the white Holland, then the white Beltville. These are various varieties. Turkeys don't have breeds, but they have varieties. For example, the next would see ducks. Ducks have various breeds. For example, we have the Peking ducks, we have the mallard ducks, we have the mule and the muscove. The Peking ducks are common within China. We have the mallard. Then we have the mule and then the muscove. The mallard, these are from South America. We have the muscove. These are the common ones like in Africa here, but they're also from the outside China. Then the mule. The mule ducks are just a result of you crossing the muscove duck with any other breed. You produce what you call the mule ducks. The special part about the mule that these mules are infertile. That's why we see that in our villages, particularly, we shall see that most people say, if you are selling me a mule, if you are selling me a muscove duck, you must sell me in pair, meaning you give me a female and a male muscove, because he knows that if he takes the muscove, maybe it's a female, then he crosses it with another breed, of duck, for example, maybe mallard, it will produce what you call a mule. A mule will be infertile. So these people in the village, they know the thing, but they don't know the science behind. We have the domesticated chicken. These are various breeds depending on the purpose. We have the dual purpose, we have the quails, rainbow, sasso. Then we have breeders, we have the Hubbard, we have Congo 500, we have quail. Quail, these are small poultry birds with origin from Japan. For example, the domesticated quail is from Japan. We have pigeons. Some people do pigeon farming. I've seen some people online doing pigeon farming in China, and they rear these pigeons. We have guinea fowls. These fowls are also in varieties. We have 3 varieties. We have what we call the pearl variety that is always common, it's always black and white dots. We have the white variety, it's always purely white. Then we have the lavender, it's white and some dots. We have the ostriches. These are examples of the poultry birds. For you to understand the poultry production, you must understand the anatomical review of the poultry bird, like the external parts and then the internal parts. Poultry is made up of various organs. For example, poultry internally, we would see various organs making up the respiratory system, making up the digestive system, making up reproduction, making up excretory. It has various organs, and each organ has a function. They form various systems. External anatomy of the bird, we see the beak, nostrils, the eye, neck, back, the feathers, wing, toe, breast. Why is the external anatomy important? Is because we shall reach that part of diseases. So it will also be a lecture of its own. And you see that for you, you can just see the bird externally, then you see that this is either healthy or not healthy. We define a breed as a special group or a specific group of animals with the same origin, but they have a similar characteristics that differentiate them from other organisms of the same species. For example, this we have been looking at mostly in dairy. We can see Frisian, we see Guanze, we see Shaiwal, meaning they're a group of organisms, but they must be coming from specific same region. For example, we say Frisians, these are coming from the same region, Holland. Then they have the similar physical characteristics that may be they've always been such color. That makes up a breed. In chicken, in poultry, we have what we call the new Hampshire. I mean, they're coming from Hampshire. We have the Longhorn, the Plymouth. Then what do we define by a variety? A variety is just a subdivision within the breed. Then it's just a distinguishing factor or characteristics within the breed. For example, you can say the color pattern, or the color of the feathers, the type of the comb, the body shape. We can look at what we call the broad-breasted bronze, the triple B, that black turkey. It's always big. It's the largest variety of turkey. Then we have the white Holland turkey. The white Holland is always small-bodied turkey. Then the broad-breasted turkey is always black but broad. That's a broad chest. That's where it gets that name of broad-breasted turkey. Meaning we have varieties just because of some differences. We have the Guinea. In Guinea, we have the Pearl Guinea. Then we have the Guinea fowls. The origin of these Guinea fowls is just from Guinea. This is in West Africa. Then the origin of turkeys is North America. A strain, this is that where like a breeder has done some improvement on a specific or given bird, especially maybe has done this improvement for a certain reason, like maybe economic character. We can look at what we call a Babok strain. That is one of the strain we have in poultry. In Uganda, different areas have their different breeds based on the region where you are. For example, if you go to Uganda, they say that this hen is Nganda, meaning it's a breed from Uganda, that place in Uganda. Then if you go to Soga, they say that this is in Soga. You have the Nkole, those are our local chicken. That's how they are defining them. Then we have, based on the purpose, we have the blue purpose, for example, graders, we have rainbow, we have sasso. Then in terms of chicken, broiler, these are reared for meat. We have the combo 500, then we have the Hubbard. For layers, we have the Isa, we have brown boven. Those are some of the breeds. Turkeys, we have the broad-breasted, we have white, then the Weltsville. The ducks, we have the Muscov commonly. This is from the source of, this is from NAGRIC, that's where we obtain this data. Try to look on the global, try to look on the global and the continental trend of poultry, but generally poultry is the leading livestock. We see that in some countries they're already in millions. For example, like in 200 million in South America, in South Africa they're already in 200 million. Then first we are still in 47, and still do some change after here. The poultry production industry in Uganda, we see that livestock in Uganda it contributes 5% to the national gross domestic product, then 17% to the agricultural gross domestic product. Poultry is the most reared or the most popular livestock, and chicken are the leading. Imagine chicken are the leading, they are in 40. Then we the humans, the population is also in 40, meaning we are competing with chicken. By the year 2008, we heard that half of the household in Uganda were rearing or owning chicken, and like each household was having 6 chicken birds or poultry birds. The population in 2000 it was around that 7 million. That was according to MAIF and then the Uganda Bill of Standards 2009. Population of the poultry has still increased recently just by 2.8 in recent years. We see that in 2016, that's where we saw a decline in poultry production, and the production of the poultry product decreased due to the outbreak of what we call HPAI. This is a highly pathogenic avian influenza. We refer it to as highly pathogenic avian influenza because it we refer it to as HPAI, highly pathogenic avian influenza, because this avian influenza it affects various organs. It is systemic. It affects most of the systems. It can affect respiratory, it can affect digestive. So the bird will always be affected. You always have 100% mortality, and the morbidity is always high. Then we have the other case of low pathogenic avian influenza, the LPAI. This is caused by the N7 and then the H9. Then in 2017, the population increased now to 47.6 million. And basically, 87.7 of these were local breeds. We see that the exotic breeds, the population was still low and was commonly in central region. That's where they were rearing mostly of the exotic. But in eastern, where chicken was dominating, pork was dominating, most people are just doing local. They are rearing local. We see that between 2013 and 2017, the population increased by 9.6, then the egg production increased by 9%. These are the two curves that show the poultry industry trend in Uganda. We see that in a specific year, in 2016, there is a little decrease. You see here there's a decrease around this region. On this graph, it's the same as here. That the production decreased. We explain that because of HPAI. This is a highly pathogenic avian influenza. The outbreak was serious and most farmers left business or poultry production. That is HPAI. That's the reason why there is a slight decrease. We can see within these bar graphs that the production of the eggs from 2013 is just increasing, but when it reaches 2016, then there is a slight decrease. I think there's a slight decrease, and the reason is still because of the outbreak of that disease. It's the same with here. The egg production also decreased in 2016. Most farmers left business. What are the roles of poultry farming? These are like the importance of poultry farming. And you shall surely see that these poultry birds produce or give us various roles or importances. We see food security. The poultry egg, an egg of poultry contains proteins and almost all the food values. You see fish and egg and milk containing all the food values. Imagine an egg for chicken costing 500, meaning it provides cheap protein. At 500 you can obtain all the nutrients. In comparison to other proteins from animals, for example, pork is going to 15 kg. So if you want to get cheap proteins just from chicken, we have white meat, which is tender. Then poultry provides income to The farmer who is selling the poultry product, he can sell the live birds. Then you have some people who are in validation, but they are also involved in these poultry products, meaning it provides income. You have employment. For example, you have workers who are working at the farms, people who are processing, who work in the feeds processing. We have the paravets, the vets, we have breeders. Like in Uganda, we have SR, we have Binzika. These are all breeders. They are earning money within the poultry farming business. We have revenue to the government. This is through export of this day old chick. For example, people who bring in those Hubbard, those who bring in 500 combo, those chicks. Some bring in these materials that we can use, or the equipment. For example, those drinkers, the vaccines, still they pay the money the government. Poultry produces manure, which is important in nutrient cycling. The manure also can be used as feed to the fish. We have also cultural purposes, whereby some people, if you're going to wed, you see all those budgets. Somebody provides you a budget with either 200 chicken or 5, depending on his budget. The SWOT analysis, poultry production is that in Uganda, there is increase in high demand of these products, poultry products, for example, the eggs, the meat. Then there's global market. For example, our nearby country in Kenya, whereby we do export these markets. Then we have the quick turnaround, diverse poultry product, then the technological adoption. We have efficient feed conversion, whereby these birds they convert feed highly. For example, like we look at the poultry birds, whereby the broilers, we see within 3 weeks it takes it to convert 1.5 kgs. Then we see in the weakness, we shall see these poultry disease risks. For example, most of these birds are susceptible to diseases. For example, Newcastle, the virus diseases really affect these poultry birds. Recently we have seen competition between human and then the poultry birds. For example, we see these poultry birds, they need energy, and the energy source is mainly maize, which is grown in Uganda. So, and the humans also need this maize to make portion. So there's competition for these feedstuffs. Then there's high cost for this poultry product, and then there's poor quality of these feeds. For example, we have seen most of the people who are involved in the poultry feeds business, most of them they aren't graduated, they don't even know. You just find somewhere, it's a shop maybe, dash and dash, poultry feeds. But when somebody doesn't know even anything about the science of the feeds, feed mixing, what you find that maybe somebody is selling maize bran, but it has molds. Imagine, for you as a farmer, you'll buy, but your animals or your poultry birds will be affected by those effects. We have another one is lack of managerial skills and technical knowledge. Most farmers or most people, they don't know the technical bit of rearing poultry. For example, in feed mixing, we have also in biosecurity, people lack the knowledge. And you find out they always make losses. This is also a weakness for the poultry industry. Then you have environmental concerns. For example, the poultry waste. Really, if you have like maybe you're within the urban centers, then you face a challenge of where to dispose your wastes. This is also a weakness for the business. The opportunities among us, what we have the export market. For example, our products are being sold to Kenya. That's an opportunity. We have diversification, whereby within poultry you can do various sectors. For example, you can be in feeding, can be either in export of the old chick, you can be in breeding, or you can do them at the same time. We have seen companies like Yuga Chick. We have Yokuku, Beans, these are doing it in Uganda. These are opportunities. Then the demand for these value-added products, for example, the chicken sausage, nuggets, is increasing. Whereby most people are living within the urban centers. The demand for these products is high, where they need these value-added products. So it's an opportunity for the poultry industry. The threats are also available. We see disease outbreak. The other side in weakness we had disease risk. Here it's disease outbreak. For example, if there is outbreak of HPAI at Newcastle, then it's a real threat to our poultry farms. All those people who will be involving in the farms. You have market mortality. Market mortality is a serious threat to our poultry industry in Uganda. For example, we see the price changes within the poultry feeds. It's not easy. Like in every week, we have certain companies that in every week they keep on changing. They can either tell you that this time we are setting up to that maybe this price 2,000 a kg. Then next week you find that it's 2,500. So if like you made your budget for your poultry project, then you find a problem. The other issue is about the preference, the customer's preference. We have seen the saga of these drugs, these antiviral drugs within these poultry birds. People are complaining. We find that now the consumers will are tending to shift from this white meat like pigs, which is pork, from chicken, from meaning this chicken meat to now the plant diet because of their customer preference. We have production systems. In Uganda, we have three production systems that are used while layering these poultry birds. The first one is the extensive system. We have semi-intensive and the intensive. In semi-intensive, it's just free range whereby these birds are exposed to go and roam. They look for their own feeds and water. That's in extensive. It's common with chicken, and these birds are always fed with natural feed sources and maybe some supplements of grain mostly. Either during morning or late in the evening, they supplement them. Water is sometimes provided to these birds or not. Extensive is divided into two. We have free range, then we have the backyard. In free range, birds are left to roam and scavenge. Then at night they are housed. Yes, free range is cheap. Even the birds receive enough energy. They get access to greens and water. But there are some disadvantages that these birds, because of the poor biosecurity in this free range, these birds are susceptible to diseases. We find that in free range, most of the chicks die. I've witnessed it like maybe a hen can lay like 10 eggs, it hatches like 7, then it ends up with only one growing. So free range is not good for us to do. The other free range is semi-intensive, is backyard, and in backyard they try like to provide some feeds, additional feeds, they supplement because they do cafeteria feeding. Semi-intensive, here birds are allowed to loiter or look for food, but again they are housed. It's divided into two. We have the run system and the fold system. Under the run, we have a certain piece of land is enclosed. For example, like if you look at here, a certain piece of land is, for example, here, a certain piece of land it has been enclosed by a certain fence, meaning they have made it to run. Then it's enclosed with net and feed are provided within inside here. You see there's a fence, but they provide everything. That's semi-intensive. Then there's what we call the fold unit. Under fold unit, like they make specific portable houses. Then now the birds are placed inside here. They feed like today. Then tomorrow they shift. That's why it's portable. They keep on shifting the house. That's the fold. It's under semi-intensive. We have the intensive system. Intensive system. This is mostly those who are doing commercial. For example, air production in the broilers. Here we see there's deep litter, there's rated flow system, then there's battery cage. In deep litter, like those birds are housed inside, but with the floor covered with the litter. And this litter could be either from wood shaving, we have coffee husks, we have newspaper, depending on the material available in your area. We have the shaded flow system. Here they use slats, and then the poultry birds are placed top of the slats. So the pellets, the manure produced will always fall down. Here there is minimal, or there is reduced disease infection risk. Then you have the battery cage, whereby each bird is in its own cage. They don't always get exercise. They don't always get in touch with other birds. So here there is surely good sanitation. Then there's also the issue about sanitation is okay. Then birds don't always get into contact with the others. Then there's no disease risk also. We have talked about these ones. So the advantages of deep litter, there's good management. Then the hygiene is relatively, it's not all that good, because you see that sometimes there is wetting of litter, which could result into causes of coccidiosis. Disadvantage that with birds kept under deep litter may develop bad habits, which we call vices. For example, cannibalism, pecking, in case of freedom and boredom. Slanted floor, it wants to resemble deep litter, but for it, the floor is raised with the slats. We have seen the slats, how they look. Then the manure passes into those slats. It is hygienic, but the costs are high to buy those slants. In battery cage, each bird is having its own feed and water, so there is less feed wastage, there is less chance of infection, clean and more hygienic. Disadvantage of this system include there are more eggs that are damaged than equipments. That's the references. Otherwise, thanks. We meet into poultry production lecture 2. This will be about housing